President Bongbong Marcos is still in the U.S. for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Here's Nestor Corrales reporting live from San Francisco. Nestor?
Yes, Neil, President Marcos is here in San Francisco, California to attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Leaders Summit, including working visits to Hawaii and Los Angeles. Today, the President had several engagements, including meeting with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and various investors in the Asia-Pacific region. During his meeting with Harris, Marcos gets a renewed commitment from the U.S. to defend the Philippines in case of an armed attack in the disputed South China Sea. The meeting between Marcos and Harris came a day after U.S. President Joe Biden met with Chinese President Xi Jinping, also here in San Francisco, California. A White House statement says the U.S. stands shoulder to shoulder in defending Manila's sovereign rights and jurisdiction in the South China Sea. The commitment comes after China's repeated harassment of Filipino troops and fishermen in the South China Sea. The Philippines is a longtime military ally of the United States. Aside from defense cooperation, Marcos also discussed the Maharlika Investment Fund with potential investors during the Philippine economic briefing here. He says the government is eyeing to finance about 80 flagship projects, including the long-delayed rehabilitation of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport through the Maharlika Investment Fund, which he says will be operational before the end of the year. The President tells investors the Maharlika Investment Fund is an additional source of funding for the administration's priority projects. Aside from business meetings, Marcos also witnessed the signing of 5 agreements between public and private companies. Among these agreements is the $400 million dedicated satellite for the Philippines through a partnership deal with a U.S.-based company Atranis and Orbitz Corporation. The internet satellites are seen to provide internet connections to 10 million Filipinos in remote areas in the Philippines. The President will again have a busy schedule tomorrow with leaders of the Asia-Pacific Economic Summit. Leaders.
Nestor, this is not new, right? The U.S. has always been vocal of its support of the Philippines when it comes to the issue of the West Philippine Sea. Now, I want to look at the perspective of President Marcos because he has previously said that the Philippines will defend its sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. But even before President Marcos left for U.S. for the APEC, we had another incident involving China in the West Philippine Sea. What has President Marcos said about these recent incidents?
Yes, Neil, the President has said the fact that the Philippines will activate territory of the Philippines, but the President surprisingly has been silent following the recent incidents in the South China Sea. Even Malacanang has not been releasing any statements regarding these incidents. But the Department of Foreign Affairs has released a diplomatic protest against China with the water cannon incident. But that isn't the part of the Department of Foreign Affairs. You're asking about the President. The President has been silent. He has not issued any statement. He has not granted any ambush interviews to the media covering him. So definitely until now, what we know about the position of the President is his previous statements.
And Nestor, from your experience covering President Marcos, this is the question I want to ask. Is President Marcos eyeing to have a more concrete approach? Or maybe the more appropriate term to use is a more aggressive approach in terms of settling the issue with China in the West Philippine Sea?
Yes, Neil, there have been calls for the President to actually raise this issue to the United Nations General Assembly or to file another diplomatic protest against China. But there has been silence from Malacanang and from the President these past days if what actually is the next move of the President regarding these incidents. So as of now, what we know is we don't know the next move of the President. We don't know the next move of the government, aside that the DFA has been filing diplomatic protests against these incidents in the South China Sea.
Nestor, last question. Did President Marcos meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping there in the U.S.? Because I understand that President Xi Jinping also met with U.S. President Joe Biden the other day.
Yes, Neil, President Marcos is not meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He only met with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris earlier today, and then U.S. Ambassador to the Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, confirmed to reporters that the President is also meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and with the President of Peru. But aside from that, there are no other bilateral meetings between the President and other world leaders while he is here in San Francisco for the APEC summit.
A follow-up question to that, Nestor. Does that include U.S. President Joe Biden? Because I know APEC has been scheduled even before this recent incident in the West Philippine Sea, but the timing could not get any more interesting.
Yes, Neil, President Marcos will not have a bilateral meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden. There have been reports cited that Joe Biden's schedule is busy, so it was U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris who met with the Philippine President.
Thank you, Nestor. That's Nestor Corrales reporting live from San Francisco.